Welcome to Bible for Modern Minds podcast.
So, can a human being, fragile, flawed, often confused, can we actually be friends with the creator of the universe? I mean, that's really the big question for this deep dive.
It is, and for a lot of people, that idea feels, it feels almost impossible, maybe even a little irreverent.
Irreverent, exactly, because friendship for us, it's such a deeply human word. It's about shared laughter and secrets and showing up when life gets heavy. So to apply that to this omnipotent, eternal being, it just instinctively feels wrong.
It can feel like we're trying to, shrink God down to our level.
Yes, our messy emotional level.
But what the sources we're looking at suggest is that this whole idea of divine friendship, it isn't disrespectful at all. It's actually a direct invitation.
An invitation.
Yeah, so our mission here is to really analyze why this closeness is not only possible, but central to the whole narrative. We're going to look at God's nature, why we as humans resist the idea, and then most importantly, what the practical day-to-day signs of this kind of relationship actually look like for you.
Okay, so let's start with what feels like the biggest barrier, just the sheer scale of it all. If God is infinite and perfect and holy, why would he want to get close to someone who is so, imperfect?
See, that's the core resistance right there. The sources suggest the fear isn't really that God is too big to be a friend.
It's that we feel too small.
We feel too small, too flawed, too insignificant to be his friend. And this comes from how we see authority figures. We expect a distant ruler, judgment, not a companion.
And a lot of religions sort of reinforce that, right? They describe gods who demand rituals and obedience, and they're very detached.
Completely.
Yeah.
But the God described in this source material is, he's radically different. This figure acts like a companion first.
Not just a ruler demanding things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the creation accounts. God already has infinite glory, infinite power. He wasn't incomplete. He didn't create humanity because he needed something.
He wasn't lonely.
Right. He wasn't trying to fill a void. He created us because he wanted to share something.
To share what?
His presence, his love, companionship. The goal wasn't just to rule from a distance. It was to walk with us. And that's what friends do. They walk together. That shift from a transactional relationship to a relational one is it's fundamental to this whole discussion.
I get that. I mean, the relational intent makes sense, but here's where that imperfection trap really kicks in. We know God is pure, and we know we're not. So the immediate thought is, I'm not holy enough for this, or I've messed up way too much. He can't possibly want to be close to me after what I did last week.
And that self-condemnation is a huge wall.
Yeah.
But we have to reframe where the friendship comes from. It's not based on our performance. It's based entirely on God's nature, which the sources just consistently define as love.
So the invitation is there because of who he is, not because of how good we've been.
Precisely. We expect him to be shocked by our weakness or, put off by our doubts.
We apply human standards of disappointment to him.
Exactly. And yet the sources are completely consistent on this point. God is not shocked by human weakness. He looks for an open heart, not a perfect record. Just look at the people in the Bible who were actually called a friend of God. It's like a who's who of flawed human beings.
Yeah, take Abraham. He's called a friend of God, but he lied about his wife's identity twice, just to save his own skin.
A huge moral failure. And what about Moses? The man who spoke with God face to face. He had a temper. He got so angry he struck a rock, which is an act of disobedience with major consequences.
And David, King David, adultery, murder. I mean, these are not small slip-ups.
Not at all. These people doubted, they argued, they ran away, they sinned in big ways, and yet they were called friends.
So it can't be about perfection.
It was never about perfection. It was about walking with sincerity and trust through the flaws. The relationship continued, even through the failure. That tells you the foundation is this radical acceptance. As long as you keep turning back with an honest heart, he meets you right in the middle of your messy humanity.
Okay, so if the basis is sincerity, not being flawless, what does this friendship with God actually mean for us today, practically? What are the parts of that connection?
Well, it has these concrete pillars. They actually mirror our deepest human friendships, but they're superior because of the reliability of the divine friend.
Okay, let's break those down. The sources seem to point to 4 pillars, starting with communication.
Right. And communication with God has to be honest, truly transparent. It's not just, formal prayers you recite. It's an open conversation.
Like talking to a friend.
Yes. Talking, listening, asking, sharing, saying, God, I'm really confused about this, or I feel so alone right now. That kind of emotional transparency, instead of feeling like you have to sound pious.
That sounds simple, but I think for a lot of people that kind of vulnerability is harder than just following rules.
Yeah, it is. But it's what he insists on, which leads right into the second pillar.
Right.
Trust. Friendship works when you trust the other person's character, even when you can't see the future. With God, trust is just. It's the willingness to lean on him when life is confusing or feels completely unfair.
Resting in what you know is good about him, even when everything else feels chaotic.
That's it, exactly. Then there's the third pillar, which is respect.
Now, this is interesting because friendship can sometimes make people feel overly casual, like he's just their buddy.
And that's a misunderstanding. Healthy friendships have respect. God is holy, and that holiness doesn't make the friendship impossible. It makes it meaningful, it makes it safe. Respect just means honoring the guidance you receive because you recognize where it comes from.
Right. And that brings us to the fourth one, shared life.
Yes. The sources are so clear that God wants to share life with you more than he wants rituals or performances.
So inviting him into the mundane stuff.
The mundane, the routine, the big decisions, the small ones, it's doing life together, not just calling on him in a crisis. He wants to be there when you're choosing a career, raising your kids, or just driving home from work. It's about a constant presence.
Which, of course, brings up that question that I think listeners have in the back of their minds. What does God get out of this? If he's already complete, why does he want this so badly?
Because love, by its very nature, seeks connection. God seeks friendship because of what he wants to give you. Peace, guidance, comfort, a sense of purpose.
A sense of identity.
A sense of identity, absolutely. He sees the soul he designed. He knows your potential. He knows your fears. And he loves you through all of it.
That's the unconditional difference, isn't it? Human friends can let you down. They misunderstand you. But God is constant. He doesn't get moody or bored. He gets you completely.
And that constancy is the anchor. But let's make this even more practical. How do you recognize this friendship day to day? How do you tune in?
Because it's often quiet, right? Not these big dramatic moments.
Almost never. It begins with awareness in these simple, quiet moments.
It's that classic radio wave analogy. The signal's always broadcasting, but you only hear it when you actually tune the dial.
A perfect analogy. Awareness is just quieting the internal noise long enough to notice. It often feels like a quiet peace or a gut feeling, an intuition, maybe unexpected gratitude, or just a moment of clarity.
But this is where people get skeptical. I know I do. How do I know if that feeling is God or just my own wishful thinking? Or maybe it was just a good burrito?
A very fair question. We need a framework for discernment. The sources give 3 really clear signs to help you tell the difference.
Okay, what's the first one?
Sign 1 is peace, not panic.
Peace, not panic.
God's voice brings a deep sense of clarity, even if the message is difficult. If a thought feels chaotic, pressured, rushed, or full of anxiety, that's usually not from him. His friendship brings a core calmness that stabilizes you.
That makes sense. Okay, sign 2.
Alignment with goodness. His voice will always line up with truth, with integrity, compassion, humility, courage. It will never, ever lead you toward destruction or dishonesty or pride.
It always elevates.
It always elevates. And this is a huge one. Sign 3, growth, not shame. God's correction is what we call conviction. It's an invitation to come higher. It's not condemnation.
So shame says you're worthless and you'll never change.
Exactly. And God's voice says, you made a mistake, but I love you. Let's get up and move forward together. It's an empowering correction, never a crushing one.
That distinction alone could change someone's entire life.
Yeah.
But what about the silence? I think that's one of the hardest things. You try to listen, you try to connect, and you just feel nothing.
And the immediate assumption is he's not there or he's not listening.
Right. Does silence mean absence?
Absolutely not. In any deep friendship, silence doesn't mean absence. You can sit with your best friend in comfortable silence, and the bond is still there. It might even be getting deeper.
But it can feel like abandonment when you're desperate for an answer.
Of course it can. But often in that silence, God is doing something profound. He's stabilizing you. He's teaching you patience. Your mind is often just too loud and chaotic to hear anything clearly. So the silence is a training ground for trust.
So if God is the one who initiates this and it's unconditional, what's our part? What is the cost of this friendship for us?
The cost is vulnerability. Deep vulnerability. It means you have to stop performing. You stop hiding the messy, broken parts of yourself. The sources suggest God really only wants 3 things from you as a friend.
Okay.
Honesty. the real truth about where you are. Presence, just showing up willingly, and trust, that open-hearted willingness to lean on him.
Those sound simple, but the sources are pretty clear that this costs something profound.
It does. It costs you control. That's the deepest surrender. You cannot be true friends with God and still demand to be the final authority in your own life.
Yeah.
You have to surrender the ego, the pride, and that deep, deep instinct to hide who you really are.
What does that look like, surrendering control? Does that mean you just become passive?
Not at all. It means surrendering the anxiety of control. For example, surrendering control over your career, anxiety and trusting every. He has guidance for you. Surrendering control in a relationship by trusting. His way is better than your need for revenge. It's painful because we feel safest when we're in charge.
But true safety comes from handing that burden over to the one who designed you.
That's the paradox. And this whole journey, it just starts with willingness. Not spiritual perfection, not a lifetime of good deeds. You don't achieve this friendship. You just respond to an invitation that's already been offered.
The fact that we even long for this kind of connection is maybe the best evidence that he wants it first.
That's the synthesis right there. God is incapable of betraying you, abandoning you, or misunderstanding you. So whenever you feel that quiet strength in a hard moment, or a sudden clarity when you were confused, or peace in the middle of heartbreak, you are already experiencing his friendship. Recognizing that is the first step.
So here's the thought to carry forward from this deep dive. God doesn't wait for us to climb a mountain to get to him. He comes down to meet us exactly where we are, mess and all. Which means the greatest tragedy isn't that we struggle to find God, but that we so often believe he isn't looking for us. So what happens when you stop trying to climb and you just accept the outstretched hand that's right there, right now? That's where the friendship begins.